Hello, I'm the Brown Booktuber and I read business books, so you don't have to. I've read more than these, but these are the four I'm going to talk about just because I have opinions and thoughts on them and telling you if you should or should not buy them. So I think we should jump right into it. The first one is Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Obviously, Gary Vaynerchuk is an entrepreneur, also known as kind of a motivational speaker, wants to buy the jet, so really into NFTs recently. This book is kind of how you can kind of build a business from scratch and being entrepreneurial with very little money for part of it, and there's a lot of stuff about social media in this. Gary V has always been a big proponent of social media, using social media to build your brand, to become an entrepreneur. I don't think you'd be angry if I told you you don't necessarily need to buy this book, because this book kind of feels like a summary of all of his free YouTube content. Although there's some good case studies in this book. I mean, look, it's been reviewed, and also it's been reviewed by the likes of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jessica Alba, Casey Neistat, big names. There are case studies in here, so if you're very interested in case studies, pick up this book. If not, I don't think you actually need to buy it, but yeah, I bought it. Bought it so you don't have to if you don't want to. 0 to 1 notes on startups and how to build the future. This one is a little bit more concentrated on building a startup. If you are in a position where you can actually build a startup, I would maybe recommend this. If you're someone who kind of wants to figure out how to become an entrepreneur, how to be entrepreneurial, maybe not. I wouldn't exactly recommend it. I think as for stuff like, again, with all of these, there are free resources to get similar stuff than what's spoken in these books. But yeah, I guess if you're in a place where you've got a lot of money and want to start a startup or working on starting a startup, maybe this is best for you. For someone who was like me when I read it at like 22, being like, oh, what's a startup? Maybe not. Going on to Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Actually, one I would say buy. I know Simon Sinek does do a lot of talks about his Start With Why stuff, but this book actually comes with a lot of useful annotations slash diagrams almost to show kind of what he's talking about, which does help visualize some of these concepts he's discussing. Because I listened to this book first and then bought it, and I found it far better and easier to listen to than to read. It is very similar to, I think, a Malcolm Gladwell type book, where you can listen to it, but then you kind of want to read it to kind of get the full picture, and also with annotations and tables and stuff. This is, I think, of all of them, the only one I would probably recommend you actually buy if you are interested in business, starting a business, and not only just business, it kind of applies to other things. If you want to be creative, if you want to do something, you kind of want to find the key to doing that, your why. What is the reason I'm doing this? I think this is one I would recommend. And finally, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Everyone raves about this book. Everyone, like, I've had older uncles and family members be like, oh, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad and I managed to get a very cheap copy of it, I think maybe from a charity shop. It's very American in the way it's very concentrated on like a US audience, which kind of makes sense. But I feel like it doesn't tell you anything that isn't either common knowledge or readily available online. It's like, invest in things, and it's like, use credit cards, and I'm kind of like, oh, you maybe don't use a credit card if you can't afford to pay it off. So this is very much leaning to a very US audience. I wouldn't say, I would say just go online and Google stuff. This book obviously was written over 20 years ago, so when the internet was far less accessible. So I would not recommend you buy this. Also, it kind of demonizes almost not wanting to become super rich. Like, look, I get it, you want to become rich, you want to do investment stuff. Fine, I understand that, but it kind of demonizes people who are happy not becoming super rich. People who are like, I am happy working a 9 to 5 office job and then spending time with my family, working a 9 to 5 and doing stuff. Like, people who actually get joy from that, it kind of demonizes that, and I don't like that. Like, I understand if you want to read this, you want to become a rich person. I just recommend you maybe watch an interview with the author, or maybe, I don't know, you can Google it. It's basically, hey guys, invest in things. That's kind of, and it's like, get into credit card debt. And I'm kind of like, I don't, with my knowledge of credit cards, I don't think it's a great idea to get into credit card debt. It's okay. It's like, use your debt to fund you. It's like, that doesn't always work, dude. That's not always the case. So, of the 4 books I recommend, get started with Why. I know that's not this video wasn't exactly in line with the brand Booktuber thing, but it's because I'm rereading a couple of books I want to talk about, and also I just thought it would be interesting, like, to help you guys to see if you're interested in business books, which books you should and shouldn't buy. Don't buy business books at this point. It's most of the information is readily available online. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know your opinion on them. If you know any business books where you think it's actually worthwhile to buy, because personally, all of maybe the 5 to 10 I've read, I've found only 1, maybe 2 of them are worth it. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'll come at you with an actual book from an Asian author. Well, you know, one of the books applies. I'll come at you with a book by an Asian author, and also hopefully an April wrap-up. Well, I've read very few books this month.